Okay. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. My name is Gabriel Pachter, and I'm one of the co-chairs of SHOUT, which stands for Students Honoring Outstanding University Teaching. Thank you all for coming tonight to the 23rd Annual Golden Apple Award here at the University of Michigan. The Golden Apple Award exists under the umbrella of Michigan Hillel, and the concept evolved from a quote attributed to Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus in the 3rd century. He said to his students, "Get your lives in order one day before you die. Because a person does not know when he will die, he must therefore have his life in order every day." The Golden Apple Award honors those instructors who treat every lecture as if it were his or her last opportunity to endow a group of students with unparalleled wisdom. Nominations for the award also consider an instructor's ability to engage with individual students and encourage them to think critically both within and outside the classroom. Our event tonight, like those which came before it, acknowledges and rewards a remarkable woman who has touched the hearts and minds of her students, and it reinforces the notion of superior teaching that exists throughout the University of Michigan. On behalf of SHOUT, I would like to thank Tilly Shamus, Davy Rosen, and the staff of U of M Hillel for providing us with overwhelming support in the weeks and months leading up to tonight's event. I would also like to thank the other co-sponsors of Golden Apple. Each of your gifts helps us put on a memorable event and demonstrates your commitment to rewarding exceptional instruction on campus. Lastly, I would like to thank my co-chair, Jake Levy, who you'll meet in a moment, along with the members of the marketing and event planning teams. Without their efforts, our ambitious social media campaign and tonight's event would not have been possible. At this time, I would like to acknowledge our past winners who are in attendance tonight. If you are a previous recipient of the Golden Apple Award, please stand up and be recognized.
To start, no, Gabe did not call me today and say, let's wear white shirts with blue and yellow striped ties. It was a complete accident, but it's a good accident, I guess. Every year, submissions from many students, both undergraduate and graduate, come into us to nominate someone that they feel is worthy of the Golden Apple Award. Because it's from the students, the Golden Apple Award is inherently the most important and prestigious award at the University of Michigan. Now, choosing one outstanding teacher out of hundreds and of amazing people is really hard. So many people have affected lives for the better. But comments like, "Shelly's the reason I'm a psych major," and "Shelly made a class of 100 feel like a class of 1," really stuck out to us as things that would make a Golden Apple winner a Golden Apple winner. Now, after surprising Shelly in her class, if you haven't seen the video, I would go to YouTube and watch it. It's pretty funny. Almost making her cry. Our feeling of making the right choice, making a good choice, and that choice being Shelly, has been confirmed many times over. Shelly told me that the favorite part about teaching is the relationships you have with your students. Teaching is being able to see your students grow. And that is something that we felt would make a Golden Apple winner deserving of the award. And in case you guys don't know, Shelly literally bleeds maize and blue. She's been to this university, she'll stay at this university, and she will always be at this university. Now, one time we were at a meeting with her a few weeks ago, and she made us stop the meeting so we could turn on ESPN3.com and watch a Michigan basketball game. Go Blue on Saturday. Now, after many meetings, myself, Gabe, and the board sometimes confuse Shelly as a surrogate mother at the University of Michigan. Sometimes we think she's the Golden Apple winner, and sometimes we think she's both. And that would make Haley Schreier, who wants a shout out really badly, my surrogate little sister. Less than a year younger than me, okay. But I'm coming here today to tell you that I'm not special, Gabe's not special, the board's really not that special. Well, they are, but in Shelly's eyes, there are so many people that have come through this university that feel the exact same way. There are so many people that could be standing up here today saying the exact same words I'm saying. And that was something that we felt was just unique to Shelly. So with that, On behalf of Gabe, the rest of the board, who's amazing, you'll come up later, I would like to present the 23rd Annual Golden Apple Award winner to my dear friend, Dr. Shelly Schreier. I also would like to thank all of you for being the largest crowd to ever attend a Golden Apple Award. Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Al Kane to give a few words about Shelly. Thank you.
I gather it's my duty to inform you that some of us have recommended that our department check if Chrysler and Yost Arenas can hang all those banners celebrating various championship years. How about psychology in East Hall hanging banners honoring our Golden Apple Award winners? It's a special privilege, as well as a personal joy, to introduce this year's Golden Apple Award winner, the Student's Choice. Aside from my long-standing admiration and personal fondness for her, let it be known that Shelly is through and through maize and blue. BA in Psychology, University of Michigan. PhD in Clinical Psychology, University of Michigan. Faculty appointment from the first day to today, University of Michigan. And that's not all. Husband, BA and JD, University of Michigan. 3 daughters, 3, University of Michigan. Mother and father, University of Michigan. Okay. I'm not going to discuss Shelly's earlier collaborative research on the impact of divorce on children, nor will I discuss her contributions to undergraduate curriculum oversight in psychology as well as LS&A, nor even her work as an undergraduate and under siege advisor and mentor for decades of our undergrads. I want to speak of more than the remarkable range of courses she has taught, more than her generous flexibility, stepping in at the last moment to save classes from cancellation, all behind the scenes. What I'll do instead is simply list the qualities our undergraduate students, among others, also GSAs, also fellow faculty members and observers in her class, have again and again cheered and cherished. Endless availability. The line, by the way, outside her office stretches to the cube and then turns back around. Sensitive awareness of and responsiveness to their individual problems, excitements, needs. The patience of Job, occasionally referred to as the patience of Schreier, even though there are a fair number who have problems with I comes before E, except there's an E before the I, and never mind. Quick, accurate reading of nascent classroom issues or issues negatively affecting graduate GSTAs, handling of their sections. Ability to inspire. Intrinsic enthusiasm for her subject matter, demonstrated daily. Constant, nonstop, 360-degree searches for still a better reading for that particular topic. Willingness to take hard stances when required, yet a generosity of spirit, her endless good humor, and especially her marriage of high expectations for her students and teaching assistants within a context of encouragement and support. She that splendid, that faultless? Well, there have been occasional rumblings in the college of possible academic felony charges against Shelly for attracting, actually the charges state kidnapping, splendid undergraduates into psychology who were originally headed toward majors in other disciplines. That too belongs in the dossier of our Golden Apple Award winner. I recommend she plead guilty to all charges, and I hope that Jordan agrees. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to get this mic on. We love you, Shelly! I actually hope you know I love you all, too. All right, let me get this on. All right. Thank you, Al. Thank you all for this incredible honor. Is my mic on? Yeah. Some of you may not know because he didn't mention it, but Al Kane was actually part of the first research team when I joined the university as an undergraduate and got involved in research with the Family Styles Project, and he was there. This was in the late 70s, early 80s. He actually gave me my first opportunity to teach as a lecturer in the Department of Psychology. In 1990, he actually presented me with that opportunity to teach socialization of the child. He has served for me. Are you sure? Now is it on? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, did you still hear me anyways? Usually volume is not my problem. Okay, it's not. One of the things about Al, too, is that throughout my career, both as a student and as a faculty member, he has served as a role model and a mentor for me. And I can't tell you how much I have appreciated that throughout the years. I also want to note that I was fortunate enough to also be mentored and supervised by his wife, Bobby Kane. Bobby was one of my clinical supervisors, and in addition, she is the author of several children's books, which I am honored to include in my psychological development through children's literature class. So thank you also. As some of you may have seen, and apparently you can now go back on YouTube and look and see, on March 13th, I was teaching my social development class. A student raised his hand to ask a question. As an educator, when a student asks a question, I think they're entitled to an informed and reasonable response. Jake raised his hand and said to me, "What does Shelly Schreier, Bruce Conforth, and Ralph Williams have in common?" Usually not one for a loss of words. I paused and said, "I don't know." At which point Jake announced we were all recipients of the Golden Apple Award at the University of Michigan. I've thought further about that question, though, and what we have in common is much more than that. Ralph Williams, who, like me, is usually a bit more dramatic and peripatetic in delivery of lectures, when he received his second Golden Apple, he actually received a lifetime one, what he said was he emphasized his gratitude for his work that he loved and his wish for his students to live who they were. Bruce Conforth, by the way, thank you for being here. Bruce Conforth, a teacher who clearly loves his work and where his passion has taken him, said to his students that he hopes what they would do is heed their call and pursue their dreams. I also want to add one more person to this list of Golden Apple winners. Chris Peterson. Another faculty member from the Department. Chris was another faculty member from the Department of Psychology who won the Golden Apple 3 years ago. He passed away suddenly this past October. His last lecture thesis, which he, by the way, renamed his first lecture, was his mantra, "Other people matter," focusing on the need to maintain and foster the relationships in your lives. And Chris, you and your message still matter. So Jake, in answer to your question, upon further reflection, and actually a bit of research, here's what I have in common with Ralph Williams, Bruce Conforth, Chris Peterson, and so many other dedicated teachers here. It's the enthusiasm, the passion, the drive, and the drama we bring to our classrooms. It's how we choose to encourage our students to listen to their hearts and pursue their dreams and heed their calling. One of the things it also includes is our fact that we have the desire to promote in others the need to take care of each other, always reminding them through our actions and our efforts not to forget that other people matter. What we have in common is the desire to inspire thought and action, and the belief that it is a privilege, an honor, and a responsibility to teach at this university. Jake, where are you? A better answer than I don't know? Can I get extra credit? It never hurts to ask, does it? Right? Okay. Doesn't. It never hurts to ask. All right. So, the common thread between us then is reflected in the choices we made and the choices we make. All of us are confronted each day with multiple choices, some little, some big, that determine our path. The guiding principle then would seem to be the goal to make good choices. Make good choices. 3 words which convey sort of a precept of how to live your life in a positive and a meaningful way. Thinking of the theme for my last lecture, at first I was focused on my love for teaching psychology. I thought the premise would be, everything I need to know, I learned in intro psych. By the way, I'm going to use that lecture, so I call dibs on the name, all right? But that didn't fully get across the ultimate lesson that I was hoping to give, the ultimate lesson that governs my life and how I try to impact those around me. If you ask any of my children, or their friends, or the parents of many of their friends, you know that one phrase reflects the sort of message that I'm known for: make good choices. When my children were younger, I'd always present this as my parting words. Have fun at the party. Know I love you. Make good choices. Hope it's a good day at school. Make good choices. No talking on the cell phone while driving. Make good choices. Good luck on the ACTs. Make good choices. I swear I said that. Okay. I did. Leading the team cheer for the volleyball team. Make good choices. And apparently, that was not a very good choice because I became known as the embarrassing mom. However, when I became the mom that learned how to text, like most things texted, make good choices turned simply into MGC. MGC. The phrase would become the way of saying that part of what my children and their friends were going to be expected to do throughout their days would involve the responsibility of making choices, to make reasonable, thoughtful, caring, and informed decisions. We're all charged with that responsibility throughout our lifetimes. I think back to all the good choices I made to end up being here, so honored for having a job I love, and thank you all to be able to have so many people here to celebrate it with. How did I get here? When I met with the Golden Apple Committee following my selection, we discussed one unequivocal fact about me, is I love the University of Michigan. This school not only represents a good choice, it represents so many good choices. Number 1, lessons from our history are helpful as we plan for our future. Standing here, what can I learn from looking back? Although clearly a good choice, My decision to attend the University of Michigan wasn't exactly a hard choice. It was the only school I applied to. It's true. At that point, I actually became the third generation in my family to attend. My great aunt, Bess Zeckman, received her degree in dental hygiene here in the 1930s. As you heard, my father, Dr. David Zeff, graduated from the dental school. My mother, Nathalie, from the School of Education. In the vein of good choices, my husband, Jordan, has his BA and JD from the university. My oldest daughter, Elena, who's currently FaceTiming me, by the way, from Lincoln, Nebraska. Hi, Lainey. She's in a PhD clinical psych program there, so she couldn't be here. She has her BA from the university. My daughter, Becca, who in a few weeks will graduate with her BSN. And by the way, my nursing students that are here, I know, I love my nurses. Becca did not take my section, she took another instructor's class. But I've still given her lots of lessons along the way. My daughter, Haley, who's here also, who is a history and women's study major. Yes, we really do love and live the Michigan difference. Now, as my students know, though, once one matriculates, being at the university continues to involve multiple choices, most of which we hope turn out to be good ones. For me, it was the choice to become a psychology major. But perhaps, as an undergraduate at the University of Michigan, the best and most influential choice I made was to contact Dr. Neil Coulter. He was conducting research on children and divorce and would become my mentor in all meanings of the word. As a gifted researcher, clinician, and teacher, his legacy goes far beyond his work on helping families with divorce and later bereavement. He is the reason I'm standing here today. When Neil became ill in 1999, he suggested to the department chair, and Al, I think he mentioned this to you too, that he thought I would be able to take over his class that was set to begin in just a few weeks. At the time, I had a small private clinical practice, and I was honored and frankly terrified about whether I could teach this course. I did, and I loved being back on campus, interacting with such bright and motivated students who had signed up for an 8:30 a.m. seminar on divorce and remarriage. During the term, though, Neil passed away, and I believed that making the course a success was one way I worked to honor his legacy. I've taught at the university ever since. Sometimes after a particularly inspiring class or a meaningful exchange with a student, I say to myself, thank you, Neil. Teaching psychology has taught me so much about making good choices. The knowledge, research, and theories we learn about fit together so well with how we desire to live happy, healthy, and productive lives. Number 2, do more than the minimum expected. If you do more than the minimum expected, it can only lead to more valuable outcomes. My family knows the amount of time I spend preparing for classes, responding to emails, conducting independent studies, arranging mentoring and tutoring sessions with students, and the time I spend with students just schmoozing with Schreier. And I wouldn't change any of it. I choose to care big, and the payoffs are even bigger. One reason the Golden Apple is such an amazing honor is that it is the students affirming that I have made a positive difference in their lives. How many here have waited in those chairs and benches outside the door of my office that Dr. Kane spoke about? Yeah, right. Now, if you waited, you deserved the time I could give you. And I was thankful you were there. It's the hope that I have that I can express to my students that they are important and valuable, and coming to see your professor and taking the initiative is a good choice. I get so much from hearing a student tell me they understand the material better after we've met, and even more so, that I've helped them learn how to better learn. I love to share my mnemonic strategies. If there's a lesion on the lateral hypothalamus, it's true, you become lean. If there's a lesion on the ventral medial, you eat voraciously and become voluptuous. Trust me, it does work. I love their mnemonic strategies. I also like to help them identify how they can do their best work. I hope I'm inspiring my students to love to learn, to challenge themselves, to learn not to be satisfied with finding the answer, but instead to find the next question to ask. Yet for all the cognitive skills and content that I hope to pass on to my students, it's the message that I echo with Chris Peterson. It's the relationships I form with my students. It's the quality of caring I hope to model. It's the relationship between a teacher and student that's the true pleasure in this process that I find so compelling. I was the recipient of the gift of caring and invested mentors who supervised me in independent studies, helped guide me in my research, read my personal statements for graduate school, wrote me letters of recommendation, and helped teach me how to teach. Fittingly, Drew Weston, the first winner of the Golden Apple Award at the University of Michigan, was my TA. It's what we call GSIs now. He supervised me in an independent study before we became graduate students together, and later colleagues. Having benefited so much from teachers and mentors, I feel it is my honor and responsibility to pay it forward. I tell students all the time, it's their job to come to class, and my job to make it sure it was worth their while that they did. My teaching career is so fulfilling because of the students who go above and beyond the minimum. Students who contact me to let me know about the Law and Order episode they just watched, which was relevant to the material we were discussing in class about the obedience to authority experiment. Robin Williams was in this one. Did anyone see it? It's really good, isn't it? I know. The video clips. Family Guy can actually be educational. It teaches us about object permanence. Students take the time to send me links to articles that help me learn more and provide material to enrich my lectures. Students I meet with ask me about other learning opportunities on campus too, and they tell me about the incredible programs they've participated in, so I can pass that information along. Going beyond the minimum to maintain relationships too. I get updates from students who are now lawyers, pediatric oncologists, teachers, psychologists, and investment bankers. But perhaps one of the most meaningful stories I can share comes from a student who had just finished taking my social development exam. After turning in his test, this young man took the time to tell me, "I will be a better dad because of this class." What more could you ask for? I know. Find a way to make it work. The brain has this amazing quality called plasticity. If the usual pathway is somehow destroyed or damaged, it will try to form new connections and find an alternative way to achieve a goal. I show a video clip in class of a little girl that has a severe seizure disorder. It can't be controlled by medication. The only treatment option left was to perform a complete hemispherectomy. They had to actually remove the entire right hemisphere of her brain, except for the parts that controlled vital functioning. Now, as a little background, I'm always teaching. The right side of the brain is in charge of movement on the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain is in charge of movement on the right side of the body. One would think with half a brain, she wouldn't be able to function. Yet, she was able to walk out of the hospital in 10 days. This is because her brain could adapt to meet the need to move the other side of her body. Part of making good choices is allowing yourself to know when to take advantage of existing structures or when to build new ones. In Intro Psych, I show this image. Here's what you need to do. Using no more than 4 lines, you have to draw a line that goes through each of these 9 dots. Now, using your imaginary pencil. So like if you go up, down, to the side, and down, you leave the one in the middle. So see if you can figure out, and you can't use arcs. It's no fair doing that. What you need to do is 4 straight lines to think about how you would draw a line through all of those dots. It's a little hard. It looks like it shouldn't be, but it's hard, isn't it? Now, I know hopefully my students that took my class remember the answer to this one. All right, you ready? It can be done. Here, too often we put, I didn't say you couldn't go out the lines, right? Too often what we do is we put unnecessary constraints on our lives. Part of making good choices is not limiting our options. Instead, as Tim Gunn would say, find the way to make it work. It's true. Don't let anyone tell you you can't if you want to achieve a goal. It may take more time, you may not take the direct path, but I am a firm believer if a door closes, a window can open. I've told many students confronted with rejections and challenges this next story. When I was a junior, I met with an academic advisor, and I told them that I wanted to get my PhD in clinical psychology. The advisor told me it wasn't a good idea. The field was too competitive, and then I needed to find something else. I did. I found a different advisor. That's true. Now, I know some of my academic advisors are here. Most academic advisors are here to support you, and I received excellent guidance throughout my time here at Michigan. But the main point of the story is this: it's your choice to know when to fold, when to reassess your goals and the strategies you're using to get there. Making good choices means that you know what you can and can't control, when you need to accept defeat and learn the lessons from that, or find another way to approach the problem. Ultimately, it may make sense to think outside the box, to be creative, create a new box. Even better, maybe help create a circle. Who said it had to be a box? Number 4, make good choices. Use all your senses to explore the world. Psychology teaches us about sensation and perception. We're born with senses and reflexes to help protect us and promote and sustain life. Stop to smell the roses. Too often we walk by without stopping to smell the roses. Take in the fragrances of the world around you. Although when I'm walking at the mall and that Mrs. Fields smell comes at me, I hadn't been thinking about a warm white chocolate macadamia cookie, and now I can't stop. But we'll talk about that at some other point. Why do we often not soak in all the scents that we're presented? Think even about the subtle smells. Take time to register the smell of a new puppy, the smell of a freshly bathed baby, the smell of spring, or a fall football Saturday. Take the time to take a deep breath and hold in all the world has to offer. Taste the sweetness of life. Babies are actually born with a preference for sweet, and we all want to make sure to partake in the pleasures around us. One of the reasons we introduce vegetables before fruits for young children is once they taste peaches and pears, they are much less likely to enjoy strained green beans. It's true, but we have the capacity for a variety of tastes: sweet, salty, bitter, sour. There's even this inclusion of the possible 5th taste sensation now, umami. It's sort of described as sort of meaty and savory. The key is life needs to include variety. If we didn't know a bit of bitter, we'd forget to savor the sweetness. Learn from your taste buds. Season your life by sampling new things. Years ago, there was a commercial. Try it, you'll like it. Well, I use that advice. Take classes you may not have otherwise taken. Go to the museum and opera. Savor your old favorites, but make sure to explore new opportunities throughout your lifetime. Like that food you decided as a child you didn't like, and now you love, it may open up a whole new palette of adventures to feast on. Focus in on the details, but don't forget the big picture. Psychology also teaches us about the absolute threshold for vision. The incredible ability we have that 50% of the time, we can actually see a candle flame on a clear night at a distance of 30 miles. Think about that. Why then is it so hard to sometimes see what's right in front of us? At other times, we only focus in on a small aspect of a problem without seeing the bigger meanings. A good choice is to make sure we keep what is important in focus. Sometimes to see things clearly, we need to take a closer look. Sometimes we need to take a step back. I suggest you find the distance that gives you the most positive image and stand right there when you look. Hearing. Sometimes people make the mistake believing it's the loudest person that gets heard. Actually, it can help you make your point more effectively if you speak quietly. Similar to taste, I'd encourage you to make the choice to appreciate the sounds around us. Listen to that soft, rhythmic cadence of a child's breathing during a nap, the first calls of a robin as the harbinger of spring, the Michigan fanfare and the words, "Band, take the field." I can't do it justice, but I love that sound. Think of the pleasures of a Diet Coke can being opened. Or the sound of a child with that joyful laugh coming from their whole body. The cacophony of life can sometimes make us want to limit the din, but I would encourage you to celebrate the symphony of life. Even the child crying behind you in the airplane seat, or the child repeatedly asking why in the grocery store, or simply hold on to that fleeting pleasure of a child saying, "I like the color yellow." Have you had your hug today? Harlow's research on rhesus monkeys shows us that the warmth and contact of another is vital for healthy development. Never underestimate the benefits of a hug or having a hand to hold. Babies that are held more tend to grow bigger, they're healthier, and they're smarter. Preemies benefit from as much skin-to-skin contact as they can get. It's called kangaroo care. One of the things that we know is that as we go through life, research in psychology tells us we still can't ignore the necessity of a warm embrace. Don't forget to reach out to those in your life. When I was growing up, we had a little sign on our front door with the red and yellow green light saying, "Stop, look, and listen" before you cross the street. In fact, this is sage advice for how to make good choices in life beyond what to do when you're deciding what to do at the intersection. Sometimes we need to just stop. Part of making good choices is allowing yourself to slow down, to realize some of the best things in life just take time. We live in this fast-paced world. Does anyone like me get frustrated when you're booting up your computer and it's taking 1, 2, 3? Come on already. We're talking 3 seconds though. Aren't you frustrated waiting for it? Anybody here ever by accident pressed reply to all in your haste? I give a talk to summer orientation students and their parents. In it, I discuss how we live in this immediate gratification society. Years ago, we had to make our dinners from scratch. Then, frozen dinners came along. And what you had to do was to think 45 to 60 minutes before you were going to get hungry how to put it in the oven. Now there's microwaves. We put in that lean cuisine, press the button, 5 minutes go by, and when it's not even done and still frozen in the middle, we eat it, right? Anybody here done that? I know you have. The problem is, with so many things in life, learning is a work in progress. At times, true insight, true understanding will occur best if we let the ideas and the concepts take the time to slowly simmer. In Psych 111, I teach about optical illusions. Most of you should be familiar with this picture of the old woman and the young woman. How many people here can see both, the old woman and the young woman? Anybody here just see the young woman? Yeah, go. Anybody just see the old woman? It's one of the things that research is showing. As you get older, you actually may be more likely just to see the old woman. I've turned the tide on this one. Why am I showing this to you? One of the things we know is that it's our perception that leads to another choice. We use what we know about the world to make assumptions about people, places, and things. Part of what we perceive, though, is based on our expectations. This can often help, but at times it can lead you astray. What lessons would I hope you would take from looking at an optical illusion? Well, I hope it will encourage you to make the choice to look at challenges from different angles, to encourage you to take a step back and see if you're truly seeing something for what it is. Maybe it can encourage you to try to see another's perspective. You, they, even the world will be a better place for it. Stop, look, and listen. Part of listening is making sure you pay attention to the world and the sounds around you. Listening is different than hearing. I think of that sounds in the old Peanuts cartoons that they would have when the adults are talking. That's how we sometimes have conversations, waiting to state what we think without listening to what someone else is saying. It's kind of like children at show and tell. They're just waiting for their turn instead of paying attention to the other students. Sometimes we listen to only confirm what we want to understand. Listening is not believing you know all the answers or assume you know what someone else is going to say. Too often, we don't really hear because we weren't listening. Make a memory. Although each day is a moment to remember, don't forget to also live the moment. You can be so worried about the past, so worried about the future, you forget to stop, look, and listen. Make good choices about recognizing the key moments in your life. Take a picture, not a Snapchat. Make a memory of not only the most memorable times, but take a picture of the mundane, the simple, the often overlooked aspects of life. Take a picture of the place, but also the people you're with. Otherwise, why not just buy the postcard? My family knows at times I'll just stop, and they'll say, "Mom is making a memory." I am. Each moment is a memory. Don't forget to cherish them. Make good choices. Integrity should matter most to you. The old adage says that true character is measured by what we do when no one is watching. Your permanent record isn't the one that followed you from elementary school. It's not the one that's in the dean's office. Your permanent record is what you see when you look in the mirror. Students in my class know, before I give an exam, I often say this: if you're having one of those, "I am so failing this test" moments, the best thing you can do is fail the test. Come see me and we'll figure it out. It's not the time to take a shortcut and demonstrate a lack of integrity by cheating on the exam. And students do sometimes fail an exam, and they do come see me, and we figure out how they can better prepare, organize their time, and figure out how to take tests more effectively. Yet the story doesn't always go that way. And over the course of my teaching career, I've had to deal with issues of academic dishonesty. Why am I discussing this now? Because it's another important point about making good choices. Even good students, students who know right from wrong, who care about what they're doing, can make terrible choices. In these times that I've had to confront these difficult situations, I tell the students they're now at another decision point in their lives, to think carefully before they respond to my question. I tell them their response will be a reflection of the person they want to be. I am always so relieved when a student starts to cry and tells me that they cheated. Why? Because it gives me hope. They're owning up to a mistake. That's part of making good choices. In fact, several of my most rewarding times as an instructor have been these students who have then left my class telling me they will do what they can to make me proud. I tell them, I would hope they would continue to make themselves proud. What a good choice that would be. Treat all people with respect. Empathy. Even babies in a nursery are able to pick up on other babies' emotional states. It's why if one starts crying, they all start crying. 5-year-olds will actually change their language patterns when talking to babies and toddlers, similar to like adults do. They use smaller words and a higher pitched voice. There's a hardwired capacity to connect and care for most of us, whether we label it emotional intelligence, practical intelligence, or just plain the capacity to be a kind person. Make the choice to see the positive in people. I trust in and expect other people are basically good. We can actually learn how to care better. Psychology teaches us about the bidirectionality of relationships. We know parents can actually learn how to increase their mind-mindedness, the ability to better read and understand their children's needs, their children's reactions, their children's requests. Doing this is associated with more secure attachments, healthier development, and the capacity to form adaptive relationships. If we expect others to be good, kind, and decent, we seek out those people. I tell students all the time, I can only decide the kind of person I am. I hope the respect I bring to my relationship with my students ultimately brings the level of respect I'm given back. I hope you'll make the choice to treat each person you encounter with the respect and dignity they deserve. We are no better or worse than the person next to us. When you don't see the value in others, you don't see the vital role everyone plays, it actually represents a limitation in you. I tell the story that sometimes for a job interview, employers will take out prospective employees to eat. The old lore said you wanted to note what they ordered because it was a projective of the kind of employee they would be. I don't care if you order the filet mignon, the linguine, or the Caesar salad. What I care about is how you treat the wait staff. I regularly walk in the mall, past the stand when someone tries to get me to purchase a hair straightener, or the person offering me a taste of their tea sample of the day. And I always make sure to say, no thank you, but have a nice day. What is the benefit of that have a nice day? It's a choice I make to treat others as decently as I can, to put forward more positive energy in the world. Never underestimate the benefit of a kind heart. Make someone else's day. You'll be amazed at how much this benefits you. If somebody meets your expectations, tell them. If they exceed it, tell them and someone else. I always call over a manager if I receive excellent service from a waiter or waitress or a salesperson. The other day, after a particularly friendly and helpful young woman waited on me, I asked if she could get her manager, that I wanted to let her know how much I had appreciated her excellent service. She called for the manager to come over to where we were standing. The manager approached me wary of a confrontation, seemed taken off guard when I said I just wanted to let her know what wonderful service I had received and how much it was appreciated. Too often, we only complain instead of compliment. Make the choice to change that. Even if someone disappoints you, perhaps you can give them some latitude. Maybe they had a difficult day. Perhaps you'll make their day by helping them see people do care. You can make the choice to be the reason their day gets better. Wish them well and hope they can learn from this and use it to promote change. Part of appreciating what you have is acknowledging how you obtained it. None of us stand here without the benefit of some kind of support. Now, we know there's a human motivation for affiliation. In times of fear, we seek out others. But in times of success, we need to appreciate and acknowledge others too. Make sure to say thank you to those who help you be the best you can be. I could not be the kind of teacher I am without my colleagues from the Psychology Student Academic Affairs Office, Brian Wallace and all the amazing departmental support staff I have assisting me, my office suite mates from East Hall Facilities, the amazing people at Psych IT and LS&A Instructional Support, my teaching team of GSIs over the years, the people at Evaluations and Examinations, the professionals I work with regularly at Ask With Media, my colleagues throughout the university, my teachers, my family, my friends, and my students who come to class excited to learn, willing to engage, and actively explore all the field of psychology offers. Thank you all for making my days, day in and day out. A choice to speak up for what you believe or remain silent. Social psychology is replete with research findings about conformity and the bystander effect. Do you walk past a situation thinking it's best not to get involved? Do you ever offer to help that vertically challenged person at Myers trying to reach that item at the top shelf? And if it was you helping me last week, thank you, much appreciated. Do you notice the person standing alone who just wants an invitation to join the group and reach out to him? Do you pay attention to the young child, frightened and searching the aisles of Target, who's gotten separated from her parent? Do you offer to help her find her grown-up? That's how I word it. Make the choice to get involved. Research also shows that too often we're in a group, our voices become silent or mechanically echo a crowd, not reflective of our true values. Do you advocate for others, or do you tacitly accept an injustice? The data on conformity tells us, even when presented with an unambiguous stimuli, we're likely to change an answer to conform to a group. Social psychologist Solomon Ash showed people this image. What you need to do is to say, that top line there, which of these bottom lines it most looked like? When people were alone, they got it right 100% of the time. However, he found he could get people to conform with the group and give an obviously wrong answer at least once, 80% of the time. He also found that the presence of just one dissenter, someone who broke from the group, would significantly reduce conformity and help others find their own voice to stand up to the majority. There are a lot of practical applications for this, especially with our contemporary focus on bullying. If even one student speaks up against the bully, we see a positive effect for the victim, and it also encourages other bystanders to speak up too. I implore you to realize remaining silent is a choice. Instead, I suggest you make the good choice to find your voice and speak up for what is right. All right, I want everybody to take their right hand and put it on their head. Left hand on your stomach. Stick out your tongue. Look around the room. You all look ridiculous, okay? Stop doing that. Now, I don't want you to do this, but I have a question for you. How many of you, if I said, don't do this, hit the person next to you as hard as you could, would have done that? Yeah, exactly. Here's what the point is. We do what the person at the lectern tells us to do. Now, for society to function successfully, we need to have structure. We need to believe that the person at the lectern has a legitimate reason for making a request. But making a good choice may be to question authority and not fall prey to blind obedience. Find the love of learning and never lose it. Make a good choice to keep on learning. We have the capacity to learn throughout our lifetimes. I feel so blessed that I have my mother and father here today in attendance, who nurtured in me the love of learning. I'm sure they lost count of how many times they read me Good Night Moon, over and over and over again. I remember going to the library every Friday to pick out my books. Who here remembers the excitement of getting your first official piece of identification, your library card? They encouraged me to ask questions and found programs to keep a highly energetic and extremely verbal child active and engaged. This lifelong love of learning is continued as my parents regularly take their Society of Active Retirees courses. It's such a pleasure to hear them tell me each semester what classes they've scheduled for, to see their syllabi, their PowerPoint slides, to hear my father tell me how he takes a seat in the front row and loves to ask questions. Even some of their favorite teachers, one who was a former University of Michigan Golden Apple winner, Tom Collier. Students who attend the university are similarly excited about learning. They're motivated, dedicated, and engaged. For me, it's so much fun each semester when the course catalog comes out. Wolverine Access lights up as students start backpacking courses and going on Scheduleizer. I love teaching because I am constantly learning. Make the choice to never lose your passion for knowledge. I find that the more I know, the less I know, and the more I hope to know. Make good choices. Use your time wisely, but make sure to build in time for work, play, and sleep. I feel so blessed to have a career I love, a family I cherish, and the desire to never take either for granted. Find work that is meaningful. If you saw the video clip of me winning the Golden Apple Award, You heard me say that work satisfaction is one of the best predictors of life happiness. Whether it is one job for 30 years or several different careers, find something you love to do and figure out how to get paid for doing it, legally. Play is also important. Being a daughter, a friend, a faculty member, a parent, a partner, all require significant time commitments, and it seems you can never get everything done. But you need to build in time for play. I just taught about type A personalities the other day. Do you feel guilty if you're relaxing or just having fun? It's okay to reward hard work and effort with rest and play. I show a video clip to my social development class. It shows a mother who said if there's time, her daughter can play, but she really needs to focus on the task of learning. She had just purchased her multiplication flashcards. I should probably mention her daughter is 2.5 years old. What she misses, playing is learning. Through play, we learn about life, cooperation, competition, strategy, winning and losing, creativity, and how to have fun. It's not wasting time. It's valuable time spent. Go to a basketball game. Yeah, go blue. Drive carefully on your way there. See a play at the Basement Arts program. Take a walk. Play ultimate frisbee. Challenge me to a euchre game. Just keep finding time for play throughout your life. It is true, all work and no play will turn Jack into a dull boy. Find the fun in life. Making good choices is also ultimately about finding the balance. There's one more thing I need to add to the list in addition to work and play. An additional variable we are all, including myself, horrible at balancing. We need to balance work, play, and sleep. We are a sleep-deprived nation. What we know is the health-comparing effects of not getting enough sleep are very strongly researched, and we know that they exist. When we don't sleep and we push ourselves harder and harder, we have less energy, we're more irritable, and we don't focus as well. When we get sleep, not only are we less irritable, focus better, but we also consolidate the things we've learned in the day before. The data is in. You'll perform better on tests, on exams and tasks in life, and in relationships if you make the time to get a good night's sleep. What you do now can make a difference as you grow older. The research on aging is also pretty clear. Now, much of what I've talked about so far is based on the academic psychological literature. I want to take a little shift here and use a higher authority. Dear Abby. This is an Abby article about the recipe for happiness. You see, it's take 2 heaping cups of patience, a heart full of love, 2 hands full of generosity, a dash of laughter, a head full of understanding, sprinkled generously with kindness. Add plenty of faith and mix well. Spread over a period of a lifetime and serve everybody you meet. This recipe was sent to me by my great Aunt Bess, who passed away this past September at the age of 96. She lived up to the end independently and with so much grace. We talked every day, and I learned so much from her. She identified several variables as helping her to live her life long and successfully. She retired at the age 87, the oldest practicing dental hygienist in the United States at the time. She kept Oreo cookies and Jelly Bellies at the ready for all the young neighbors who came visiting. She read with a passion and told me she was never too old to learn. She always encouraged me to have a career and to think for myself. We would talk about how people sometimes wouldn't listen to her as she got older. She would say she had forgotten in her life more than many of these people had yet learned. It frustrated her when people treated her like she hadn't been around the block. She assured me she had been several times. She was so proud of me and my love for teaching. Every day she would ask me how my class went, Did my students enjoy my lecture? Did I give them cookies? I do, by the way, in my children's literature class, bring Teddy Grahams and juice boxes on Berenstain Bears Day. She had a strong faith, saying when it was the time, the dear Lord would take her. She was a fierce advocate for family, but opened her heart and her home to so many who also called her Aunt Bess. I once asked her over the course of her life what was one of the most important inventions. Ever the consummate professional, she said the autoclave, which sterilizes dental instruments. Aunt Bess once said somebody had criticized her for being a Pollyanna. I told her she needed to see that as a compliment. Looking for the good as a strength, I told her, and what a testament to her life that the worst someone could say was that she was too positive. When I won the Golden Apple, a part of me wondered if she had her hand somehow in the selection. When we look at the research, although the strongest variable in successful aging is how well you chose your parents, not my line, but think about that. The choices you make now and throughout your life can make a difference in the quality of your life and your longevity. Make the choice to engage in healthy activities, wear sunscreen, eat a healthy diet, drink in moderation, if at all, and only when you're of the legal age of 21. Make the time to exercise. We're so good at finding excuses. How many people here have ever felt like not going to the gym, but you made yourself go? Didn't you feel better because you did? The benefits are both psychological and physiological. Exercise increases our endorphins. It's better for our cardiovascular system. It's a stress reducer, and it can also promote contacts and relationships. I've walked for over 5 years with my friend Nancy every week. In addition to getting quite the workout, I actually walk faster than I talk. The companionship through good and difficult moments can't be overstated. Make the choice to nurture your friendships. I am so blessed to have my oldest friend Julie here with me. We've been friends since we were 11 years old. We bonded over pictures. As the shortest in our group, we were always placed next to each other in the front row. My friend Sue, who was also my college roommate, 6th Van Tyne, Mary Markley, anybody wondering? My dear friend Kate, who was my RA in Markley, couldn't be here tonight, but she helped me find my way for this talk by reminding me to focus on how I love to teach and what message I would hope to give you. When I was sick last week, my friend Susan actually offered to shop for me so I could have an outfit to wear tonight. The list goes on. What's important, though, is to have a friend. You need to be a friend. Make the choice to keep your friends priorities. Volunteer. This current cohort is one of the most active for community service. Keep it up throughout your lifetime. I show a video clip to my students about a 94-year-old woman who 3 times a week takes meals into others who are not as mobile as she is. She says it's what motivates her to get up in the morning. Don't hold grudges. The research on forgiveness is clear. That doesn't mean you need to continue with unhealthy relationships. It means that it can help to know when sometimes you just need to let something go. Optimism is a protective variable. Monty Python, another important academic resource, encourages us to always look on the bright side of life. It's good advice. Happiness is more than a state of mind. How you can learn to reframe negative thinking, how you can learn to appreciate the things you have versus focus on what you do not. Disappointments allow us opportunities to cherish our successes. One day, my daughter brought home a children's book from the Ann Arbor Public School Library. It was called Meshka the Kvetch. Now, for those of you that don't speak Yiddish, a kvetch is basically a big complainer. Think about Debbie Downer on steroids, okay? Here's how the story goes. Meshka goes to the rabbi to complain. Her Her house is too small. Her son is too lazy, like a bump on a kosher pickle. Her feet hurts when she walks. Okay. All the people in her village know what a complainer she is. So what ends up happening? One day she wakes up and everything she's been complaining about starts to get worse. Her house shrinks. Her son turns into a dill pickle. Her feet turn into melons so she can't walk. What is the life lesson here? It is that even with reason to complain, you can still make the choice to instead appreciate and focus on what you do have. It is amazing how much more satisfying life will be and how much more other people will want to be around you. Make the choice to grow old with integrity and not despair. Looking back for many of us, it's not the risks we took and failed at, but that we failed to take the risks that we ultimately regret. Make the choice to take a chance. Try that thing you've always wanted to try. Even if it doesn't work out as you expect, it can make a good story one day. Stand and celebrate with the people you love. When I was 9 years old, I won the Detroit News Poetry Contest. Following the celebration, we attended a photo session with the second and third place award recipients. The next day, there was a huge picture with the following caption. I don't know if you can see it, that's me, 9 years old, I know. Here's what it says. Poetry contest winner Shelly gets a big hug from her mom. And here again, when I had the honor of being given the golden apple, I am surrounded, as I am tonight, by my family, my students, my friends. What's the ultimate lesson here? It's clear to me that by making good choices, you end up being surrounded by people you have inspired and have inspired you, the people who you have cared for and who have nurtured you, those you have learned from and those you have taught, those you have laughed with, cried with, studied with, played with, and mourned with. Making good choices means you are awarded the true reward, because making good choices means being surrounded by people for whom you have made a difference and who have made a difference for you. Perhaps that is the real Michigan difference. And finally, making good choices is knowing when you've said enough. Thank you all once again for this incredible honor, and good night. Thank you.
So I would like every member of the Golden Apple Shout Committee to come up here for a second, please. Hey, give them a round of applause. I was gonna say if all of Shelly's psych students wanted to come up here, but then we'd overfill the stage about 4 times, so that's probably a logistical issue. From the whole board, you do win the Golden Apple Award, so we would like to present this to you, the 23rd Annual Golden Apple Award.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I'll let you talk about it. And then with the award, Shelly is given $1,000 to donate to the charity of her choice, and she would like to say a few words.
So one of the things, there's so many amazing causes and things to think about. It is my honor to receive this award, and with it the honorarium, which I am privileged to be able to pass on to one of so many good opportunities that I could have selected. What I've decided to do is to donate the $1,000 award to the Camp Michigania Mott Family Program. This award will help families who have children that are being treated at Mott Hospital to be able to attend a week at Camp Michigania, which my children think, and I do, is one of the best places on earth. It's the U of M Family Alumni Camp. If you haven't looked it up, I recommend it. But this is actually for them to be able to attend with their families without the worry of the additional financial burden. So I would hope that they would be able to make the memories there like I've been able to make with my family. So that's where I've decided to make that donation. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do that.
Last couple of things. You're gonna all walk out. There will be buttons that the wonderful Lizzie Wexler helped create. We're all wearing them. They say "Make good choices, Golden Apple 2013." Also, there is some treats and fruits, but since you guys are the largest ever Golden Apple Award crowd, it would be okay if some of you made that good, healthy choice to pass up a brownie. Thank you very much for coming.
One last thing, a final good choice. Make sure to walk or drive carefully on your way home. Thank you again for everything.